Okay, so we're going to go ahead and start to honor people who are on time. And I'm really happy to be here today with my daughter, Elizabeth, also known as EJ. Um, EJ is an occupational therapist. She has her master's degree from Washington University in St. Louis after going to Purdue undergraduate for occupational therapy. Elizabeth works in a rehab facility and she also teaches. So I'm going to turn it over to her and let her take it away.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. So my mom gave me a lovely introduction, and I have a little more information about myself. So as she mentioned, I'm an occupational therapist. I went to WashU in St. Louis and Purdue, of course. Along with that, I have a dance minor, as well as my occupational therapy degree. And I like to actually bring some of my dance history in with the training I do with my patients. I teach in an occupational therapy program here in the Chicago suburbs. The other really big thing that I do is I mentor high school students on a robotics team, and we actually just held our own little mini competition over this past weekend, which was really fun. And I like to teach those students about how robotics and engineering tie into the real world. So that's a little bit about me. Most of you probably heard this, but if you have any questions throughout the way, I may not see you because I'm sharing my screen, but my mom can see you if you wave, or you can send a chat to the chat box. And of course, you can always ask questions at the end as well. So the first thing, just a few statistics, and I don't want to scare anybody, but you know, falls are scary. So every second, an older adult will have a fall during the day. 1 in 4 older adults reported a fall in 2014, and falls are the #1 cause of hip fractures. I see many other injuries as well related to falls in my patients. So what causes a fall? Sometimes you have issues with your body. You might be weak. There might be some medication that's causing concern. There may be other health conditions, Parkinson's, stroke, things like that. Sometimes decreased vision can have an impact if you can't see and you step over a curb, something like that. Or poor balance can also have an impact. Your environment can also present problems. So there may be just hazards in the environment. There may be something on the floor that you weren't expecting. If you are not wearing proper clothing or footwear, that can have an impact. And poor lighting, and that of course ties into your vision as well. Being able to see where you're going is very helpful in not falling. And then with activities, sometimes if you don't take enough rest breaks and you get too tired, then you can fall. And if you're not paying enough attention to what you're doing, you can also have a fall. So some of the biggest risk factors for injury. So anybody can fall at any time, but if you are of a higher age or have poor balance or have certain health conditions, you're at higher risk for injury or ending up in the hospital or having surgery. So what are some of the things that can happen when you fall? You can hit your head and have a head or a brain injury, which is no fun. That can cause deficits with cognition. A lot of times people that have had a brain injury may have difficulty living on their own. A spine or a spinal cord injury can also occur when you fall. That can cause weakness in your limbs, especially in your legs, making it harder to walk, and again, making it harder to be independent. You can have a soft tissue injury, so that's things like bruises or cuts or scrapes. You can sprain your ankle, and those things are just really painful. They can have you can have a hard time healing sometimes, and that can also make it difficult to walk or to participate in things you like to do. Of course, we already mentioned fractures, and hip fractures especially can lead to the inability to care for yourself or live alone at home, and can even lead to death, depending on other health circumstances. Another thing that I see frequently that people may not be aware of is after a fall, especially one that's particularly bad, people will develop PTSD and a fear of falling that sometimes is so limiting that people are afraid to get up and walk again. And this is a frequent struggle that I see that people have a really hard time dealing with. So if we can prevent you from falling in the first place, we can also prevent you from having that fear of falling. Another thing that happens sometimes is if you've fallen and you're alone and you don't have a way to contact anybody, you may develop an injury or an illness related to being on the floor. So some of these things, there might be dehydration. You can develop pneumonia. You can have pretty significant bruising that's very painful. We've even seen occasionally people can have a stroke or something like that once they've fallen, and then they have a hard time and sometimes aren't found till days later. So again, not to be too scary, but there are some pretty scary things that can happen when you fall. Where and when do falls occur? They can happen pretty much anywhere. So home is one of the most frequent places for falls. The community, of course, when you're going out and about, and especially if you're in an unfamiliar environment. Falls occur more frequently at nighttime. And again, that goes back to poor lighting and poor vision. And then another kind of time that we see frequent falls is when people are in a rush because they're not paying as much attention to what they're doing. Certainly in nursing facilities, but also in other places, a big one is having to go to the bathroom and having a harder time getting there. So, we can talk a little bit about that later on. But one thing that I like to mention for the bathroom is make sure you go right when you feel the urge to go. Don't wait until it's last minute. So what can you do if you fall? If you are able to, I want you to get up, and we'll actually talk about how to do that in a little bit. But you want to stay in place if you're worried about injury. So before you do get up, check yourself for dizziness, make sure you feel like you're strong enough to move. Another thing you can do is notify a trusted contact. So I recommend to always keep a cell phone on you or nearby at least. And if you don't want to keep a cell phone on you, get yourself a medical alert system. There's Life Alert and there's a lot of other ones. We have devices like an iWatch, which, Mom, can you hold up your wrist? My mom has an iWatch. A lot of those, especially the newer ones, are actually programmed, or you can program them to detect a fall automatically. So you don't even have to do anything. So if you hurt yourself and you're not able to call somebody, that watch will automatically detect it and contact a loved one that you program, which I think is pretty cool. Some of the other medical alert systems will also do that. And they may even know where in your house you have fallen, so they can notify 911, and then they can come and get you. Another thing that you can do pre-fall is to have a plan with your family or neighbors so that they can check on you regularly. So you want to have a plan in place in case they don't hear from you at a specified time. So whether it's once a day, once a week, however you want to do it, have a plan in place. And then make sure you notify them if you're doing something that's out of the ordinary, like if you're traveling, so they don't panic if they don't see you on a certain day. So how to get up. And there should be, here we go. All right, I'm going to try to play this video. Hopefully this will work for you. And if it's hard to hear it or anything, let me know. And I'll make sure that you guys have access to this video later too. But this is just a short and sweet little video of how to get up after you've fallen.
EJ, oh, is there sound?
Oh, hold on. I can think if I fix my screen share, I'm going to pause the screen share for a second, and then we'll come back to it. And I think then I can share my sound. So hold on one second. Sorry, all the fun of technology. Okay, now we should have it. Let me know if you don't get the sound this time.
How to get up safely if you have a fall. It's best to plan what you would do if you had a fall. Firstly, don't panic. Check you're not hurt. Are you in pain? Can you move your arms and legs? Don't move if you feel pain. Try to summon help instead. If you are unhurt, try to get yourself up. Move onto your hands and knees and crawl to somewhere where you can pull yourself up, like a sturdy chair or bed. Put your hands on the chair or bed and bring one leg up. bending your knee and placing your foot flat on the floor. Lean forwards, pushing with your hands, and bring your other foot up so that it is also flat on the floor. Turn and sit on the furniture slowly. Make sure that you rest for a while before you try to stand up. It's a good idea to practice this so you know what to do if you have a fall. And remember, always tell your GP about your fall.
Okay, so I thought that was a really nice short and sweet video of the technique that we like to train our patients with for how to get up. So, and I'll make sure that everybody has the link for this so you can refer back to it if you'd like.
How to get up safely if you have a fall.
Hold on a second. Okay, there we go. So, how to prevent falls, that's why we're here, right? So a big one is exercise, and in a little bit, I'll go through some exercises for you. We can talk a little bit about home setup, just environmental awareness, being aware of what's going on around you, and a few other factors. So exercise, do a little bit every day. Keep your body moving. This is so, so important, not just for preventing falls, but also for health in general. This is a big thing that I see with a lot of my patients that come to me. They're sick because they don't do a whole lot. So, and you don't have to do much, just, even 15 to 20 minutes a day can be really helpful. A lot of people think that falls are just about your feet or your legs, but it's actually really about your whole body. So it's important to focus on areas including your core and your pelvis, your arms and your legs, and then to bring it all together. So we'll go through just a few exercises of each. Now, we're not going to go in depth with these exercises. So if anybody has any questions about them later, just let me know. Also, unfortunately, because of my screen setup, you won't be able to see me doing the exercises, but I got some pictures and I will be happy to help anybody later on if you do have any questions or want to work on some more exercises. So the first thing, this one is really important, deep breathing. Obviously, we breathe all the time, but sometimes it's really important to do some concentrated breathing where you're focusing on your breath, and it actually helps to stimulate your internal organs, and it can work your diaphragm a little bit. So the best method that I use with pretty much everybody is what we call pursed lip breathing, where you breathe in your nose and out your mouth, and you want to just breathe in nice and slow, and then when you breathe out, you purse your lips. I always tell my patients, imagine you're blowing out through like a straw or a trumpet. And what that does is it helps you control your airflow both ways. Breathing in your nose, you only have two small holes, your nostrils, so that controls the flow, and then breathing out your mouth. When you purse your lips, you can control that flow and go nice and slow. There's some more advanced techniques. So for example, counting your breath. So breathing in for 4 counts and breathing out for 4 counts. Those are things that you can work towards. But just that basic pursed lip breathing, maybe every hour or so, just do a nice deep breath. It's really refreshing. It's very centering too. If you're sleepy and having a hard time waking up, it can get you going. But if you're ramped up and need to calm down, it can also calm you down. So breathing. All right, isometrics. So isometric exercises means that you're contracting your muscles, but in a way that doesn't cause movement in your body. And this one's pretty simple to do. And just like in the picture, the girl has her hands on her belly, which I always recommend to my patients because then you can feel what's going on. All you do is you squeeze your tummy muscles, and then you can do the same thing with your tush. Just squeeze those muscles. That's pretty simple to do. I always kind of joke with my patients. Imagine you're on the beach and somebody really good looking walks by. What do? You suck in your tummy. So that's kind of the feeling that you want to get for that exercise. The next one is reaching. So reaching, what it does is it takes your shoulders and your arms off of your center of gravity, and that makes your muscles in your abdomen and your back have to work a little bit harder. So when you reach and shift your weight, it challenges those muscles and makes them stronger. It's good to reach forward, and it's also good to reach across. And you can reach for things. If you're a little unstable, you can actually have a table in front of you and reach forward on the table or reach diagonally on the table. And that'll actually work your abdominal muscles, believe it or not. So you don't just have to do crunches. All right, another core exercise is leaning side to side. So this kind of fits in with reaching forward and diagonally. And what we're doing again is we're shifting our weight, and we are taking the heavier part of our body while we're seated off of that center of gravity, so your muscles have to work a little bit harder. Good, I see people working, which is nice. Good. All right. So now we'll talk about some arm exercises. This one I always like to do, and it's a lot harder than you think it's going to be. So you want to get a sturdy chair, not one with wheels on it, unless if you're seated in a wheelchair, that's totally fine. Just make sure your brakes are locked. And you want to have a chair with arms, so you can put your hands on the armrest and just push yourself up. And I can't demonstrate right now because I have a cat on my lap, so apologies for that. But chair push-ups are a lot of fun. Now you want to make sure you keep your elbows kind of tucked in behind you, not out to the side. And that's going to work those triceps. Those are those chicken wing muscles that women love, right? So you'll have firmer triceps, but also those muscles are really important when you're, say, holding onto a walker, getting up from a chair. So those are a really great exercise to do. Arm raises, and you can do this forward and to the sides. So just flap your wings. And that's going to get those shoulders working a little bit. Very good. All right. Shoulder circles. And this one's nice because it kind of gets your neck muscles a little bit and your shoulder muscles. So you're going to do a shoulder circle. Very simple. And you can go both directions, and you're just going to lift the shoulders up and bring them around. You can go both directions. I like this one too. It gets the neck, upper back, and shoulders. And another one that people forget about is hand squeezes. So while we're working on everything else, sometimes when you're walking, if you're holding heavy objects, that can cause you to fall. So you want to have a good grasp on your object. Makes it easier to manage groceries, do tasks that you want to do. So hand squeezes are pretty simple. Just open and close and go nice and slow. All right, then we move to the legs. So thigh squeezes. In the picture, this patient is holding a ball between their knees, but you don't actually have to do that. You can use a ball if you have one, but you can just put a fist in between your knees, or you can just squeeze your knees together without anything in between. And this is a great one. Those inner thighs are another place that we ladies love to work on, and men too. Everybody can work on those. And this is just simple. Just squeeze your thighs together, and you should feel that working. Okay. Another good one is knee lifts. And this is exactly what it sounds like. So all you have to do is pick one knee up and then the other, kind of like you're marching from a seated position. That's pretty simple to do. Right? Knee extension. So this is from a seated position, your knee is bent, and you're going to just straighten it out and lift your foot up. And you'll feel this one. This one actually works your quadricep muscles, which are in your thighs. And that's a really important muscle group to work on for stability. And lastly, ankle pumps. I know for me, we mentioned I was a dancer, and I had lots of issues with my ankles being unstable. I had more than one sprained ankle in my time as a dancer. I'm sure my mom remembers. So ankle pumps, all you do is with your leg, you can have it stretched out in front of you, just bring your toes up and down. And you'll feel that in your calves and in your ankles. It's a really great exercise to help build up stability in the ankles. Now, if you're able to do some standing exercises, you are welcome to do these ones as well. So in standing, a really great one to do is stepping. All you have to do is step forward and then bring your foot back. You can alternate feet. You can go forward and back and side to side. That's another one. So I don't know if you can see my mom demonstrating. This is another one that shifts your weight a little bit, kind of changes your center of gravity and uses the muscles that you need to use while you're walking. Another good one is weight shifting. So for this one, you actually want to keep your feet planted, and you're going to shift your pelvis and your torso side to side. So again, there's that weight shifting. We're challenging our muscles by shifting our center of gravity a little bit. Walking in place is another great one. You're using all the muscles you would use for walking. But the nice thing about this is that you can hold on to something. So for example, if you have a walker, you can hold on to that, or you can hold on to a chair. So it gives you a little more stability because you've got an extra point of contact with the floor. And last but not least, we have sit to stand. And this is a great one. And this kind of ties into those chair push-ups we were doing earlier. And it helps to build the muscles that you need while you're standing. So you can see this picture is a really nice example. You want to have your feet under you and you want to have your weight shifted forward. I always tell my patients, imagine a rocket taking off when they're going to stand up. And of course, most of you probably are still able to stand up, but if you are conscious of it and think about how you're doing it, it can actually make you more efficient, and it can help build up your strength. So get your weight forward. We always say nose over toes. And as you go forward, then you can shift and go straight upward and into a nice standing position. Thank you, Mom, for demonstrating. All right, so those are some basic exercises you can do. So we'll talk a little bit about home setup. There's a lot of info here, so try to be efficient with my time. But some important things to be aware of are flooring. So you want to watch for hazards. A big one is throw rugs. So you either want to remove them or make sure they're secured down. And you can buy double-sided rug tape, which is really helpful. You want to make sure you have a clear path to any place that you go frequently, and especially to light switches. For lighting, illuminated light switches are really cool. If you have somebody that can do electrical work, you can switch them out pretty easily. And then the light switch itself is actually illuminated, so even in the dark, you can find it. Keeping night lights on or LED lights placed strategically on the floor, especially in hallways, can be really helpful, again, so you can see the floor at nighttime. Proper lighting, especially near and in all stairways. That's so important. Stairs are a frequent place of falls, and that is not a place that you do want to have a fall. Lighting near your entry or outdoors, if you have like a porch, that's really important. And then keeping flashlights handy, and have more than one. So let's say you have a 2-floor house, you want to have at least one upstairs and at least one downstairs, and keep them in a place that's handy. So your bedside table, or in a hall closet that's easily accessible. In the bathroom is another place of frequent falls. Use a seat in the shower if you need to. That way, if you get tired or if you have a hard time reaching, say, your feet, you'll be a little more stable. Non-slip treads on the tub floor is really helpful to have. Grab bars. Grab bars are really helpful. You can have them in the shower, you can have them near your toilet, and they must be installed properly. If you do use grab bars, make sure they're actually placed into the studs. They should not just get drilled into drywall, and I don't recommend the suction cup ones, at least not for standing up purposes. We do actually, this is one place that you want to have a little bath mat, but make sure it's got a non-skid backing or have it secured down. And then back to the stairs a little bit, of course, outside of the lighting, make sure that you have handrails. If possible, have the handrails on both sides. And if not, definitely at least on one side. Another thing that you can add is if you have hard surface stairs like wood or laminate or vinyl, you can get non-slip treads to put on your stairs. And that's a really helpful thing to add. There are companies that will actually come in and evaluate your home and can even make some of these changes. So that's home setup. All right, environmental awareness. Yeah.
Okay, I just want to say that we do have a volunteer who would help people with installation of grab bars if they have such a need.
That is
So
great to know.
let me know.
All right, very good. Yeah, you want to make sure those are secured properly. So if you have somebody that can do it, then great. All right, so environmental awareness, especially when you're going into a new environment, but even at home sometimes, it's really important to be aware of what's going on around you. So you want to scan your environment. Anytime you're stepping into a new place, check the floor, check anything that's at eye level. You can also check above in case there's something that might fall on you, especially if you're in a more dangerous type of environment, which hopefully none of you are going into, but you never know. If you're going to a place that has uneven surfaces or curves, you want to check the curb height before going up and down, so you can kind of estimate how much of a step you need to take up or down. If one leg is stronger, so this is something that we work on frequently with our patients, and we have patients with one stronger leg for many reasons, whether it's stroke or a knee surgery, anything like that. This is a handy little tip to have. If you're going up a step or a curb, you want to go up with the good leg first, and if you're going down, you want to go down with the bad leg or the weaker leg first. And that's just because you want the leg that's doing most of the work and the bending to be the stronger one. So that is pretty much that for environmental awareness. Some other factors, just things to be aware of. Wear good shoes. We've kind of mentioned that before. You want shoes that are secured. So generally, I don't recommend slip-ons or slides. Make sure they have good tread as well. Where are your glasses? You've got to be able to see where you're going. Use mobility aids. If you have a cane or a walker, use it. Take it with you. Take your time. Try not to rush. I had mentioned bathroom considerations. So if you are frequently rushing to the bathroom, some things you can do are maybe set up a schedule for yourself. Go at certain set points of the day, before and after a meal, or you could set a schedule for every couple of hours. That can be really helpful because then you have less urgency. Go over medications with your doctor. Some medications may be making you have some of these other issues, and if you can make adjustments to them, you can actually decrease your risk of falling. You want to get plenty of sleep and rest. Being fatigued is a huge risk factor for falls. So if you can get more rest, both at nighttime and during the day, that can help. You want to be aware of your health conditions. The ones that I've listed here are some that are linked to both falls and injury. So vertigo or dizziness, shortness of breath. If you're having a hard time breathing, you may not be paying as much attention to what's going on around you. So you can, if possible, do some of that deep breathing to help with your breath, or take care of it with your doctor. Neuropathy. So that means numbness or tingling that you might have in your feet, and that can cause you to have difficulty feeling what's on the floor. So you need to then use your visual skills a little bit more. Osteoporosis, so that's a big risk factor for a fracture or injury if you fall. If you have issues with your blood pressure, whether it drops low or goes too high, that can sometimes lead to dizziness and then falls. And if you have confusion or dementia, or a loved one that has those, that can be a risk factor as well. You also want to focus on keeping your bones strong. So nutrition is really important, of course, making sure that you have adequate calcium and other nutrients. And then weight-bearing exercise. So things like walking, playing some sports, as long as you're able to, that actually helps build up your bones and make them stronger. All right, a special little note for walking on ice, and I know it's not icy out, and it hopefully won't be icy out for a long time, but when you're walking on ice, you can't walk with your normal stride. So you want to imagine walking like a penguin, and I really like this picture. What that does is it keeps your center of gravity right over your feet. So rather than having your feet way out in front of you or behind you, and your center of gravity in the middle and not supported, everything is in a nice line. So I always try to imagine walking like a penguin when I'm walking on ice. So here are some links. I pulled some information and pictures from some of these. The video for how to get up after a fall is included here as well. And again, you'll have access to all these, so no need to write them all down. And that's about it. So of course, there's time for questions now. And if anybody has any questions later, I've included my email address at the bottom there. So feel free to email me with any questions or anything like that. So I'm going to leave this up for a minute. And go ahead, if anybody has any questions now, ask away.
Elizabeth, I'll ask a question.
Yeah.
When someone does fall, what do you do to get them back on their feet? And personally, I know I have fallen and just tried to huff it and get myself going again. And it takes a long time. Like my body hurts.
Yeah.
I know you're professional, so what should I be doing?
So the first step is to just take a breath and take an accounting of yourself. Feel through your whole body, go from head to toe and feel is there any more pain in one area, or is it kind of widespread? I just feel tense. If there's any one particular area or more than one area that has a lot more pain, that may mean that there's an injury. So in that case, stay put. That's when having that phone on you is really handy, because then you can just call 911. So after you've kind of done that self-assessment, take your time. If you feel like you have the strength to get up, you can use that chair method from the video, but don't rush it. There's absolutely no need to get up right away, unless you're in danger, of course, but that's a whole other situation. But the biggest factor there, I think, is that kind of self-assessment. Make sure that everything is as it should be. Don't rush. If you're not able to call for help, that's where having that plan, kind of comes in handy. If you have neighbors that know to check on you, or family members, that sort of thing. But yeah, and obviously we can't control where we fall. So if you fall near a chair, that is really helpful. If not, you can still use the method of going onto your belly and then pushing up onto all fours. and then go into a kneeling position and stand from there. At least in homes, most of us have something we can push up with.
Hi.
Or a chair.
Good. How are you? Oops.
So, hopefully that answered your question, Lori. Okay. Cool. Anybody else have any?
Alice has a question. Alice,
Okay.
you're on mute. Alice, are you there?
It sounded like she was maybe talking to somebody on the phone.
Hello. Hi, I'm here.
Okay,
Sorry.
hi. No
Can
problem.
you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, sorry. I had to explain to someone while what I was doing.
Gotcha.
Okay. My husband has balance issues and dizziness issues, and we've been to physiotherapy. He's had a million tests. He's sees a neurooptometrist, and nobody can really pinpoint what the cause is. And he does a lot of exercises and it helps, but nothing is curing it. It's very frustrating. And he does have diabetes. He's had diabetes for about 62 years. So I suspect that has a lot to do with it.
Mm-hmm.
There does seem to be some kind of eye brain thing with different lighting causes him to feel dizzy. And I don't know, maybe you have some wonderful suggestions that we haven't done. I mean, should we go to a neuro-ophthalmologist in Chicago, or what do you suggest?
That's tough. And of course, I can't make any sort of diagnosis,
Sure.
but neurology is always a good place to start. And I know you had mentioned neuro-ophthalmology, but it may be just a regular neurologist would be really helpful as well. There could be something like Parkinson's going on. Certainly with diabetes, we have the risk of neuropathy, which I had mentioned, and also there's retinopathy that can occur with
Yes.
diabetes.
Yes.
All these factors can kind of come together. Something to think about might be, is there a particular time that it's happening more frequently? Is there anything that he's doing before the fall that kind of leads up to it? Those are some things that are helpful to be aware of. But a neurologist is probably a good place to start, and there should be good neurologists in that area.
Yeah, he's been to a neurologist who
Okay.
said he had a small stroke in the balance area of his brain, but it was a long time ago, and she didn't think it was causing the current symptoms. And then we saw another specialist who said it's probably a lot of little things where we can't find it, but
Mhm.
there's just small deterioration in a lot of different areas.
Is he using anything like a cane or a walker?
He does use a cane.
Okay. It may be that he needs to advance to using a walker,
Mhm.
but that's something actually going to a physiotherapist or an occupational therapist would be helpful with. One thing we didn't actually really talk about, so physical and occupational therapy are a little bit different. Both look at a patient in a very holistic way and both can address physical issues. But maybe it would be good to have an occupational therapist for a little bit different perspective. One thing that occupational therapists do is not just look at the physical aspects of the body, but also look at the environment and try to work to bring those things together. So I don't actually really know any OTs in that area, but if you ask your doctor specifically for an occupational therapy referral, that may be helpful. They can kind of take a look at him and they could even come to your home potentially, depending on what type of OT you end up doing, and look at small changes that could be made not only to him physically, but to the environment and lifestyle.
Right. Okay, thank you so much. And one last short question.
Sure.
Will your resources be posted on the Jewish Federation website?
As long as that's okay, then
I
by all
believe, I believe we can make that happen.
That would be great, because I'm in my car now and I can't write anything down or print anything out. I
Okay, well, Alice,
apologize.
I
Yeah.
We are recording this, so I can always send out the recording. I have access to Elizabeth's slides, so I could email them to you also.
Love it. Thank you so much.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
I'm happy to share. And I told my mom at the start that anybody who wants access to the slides is more than welcome to take a look at them. And that way you have my email address and you have those links available.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank
I'll
you.
make sure that that information goes out. We're going to do a small survey afterwards, so I'll include the information with that survey.
Hi, Sandy, it's Annette Prager who has a question.
Sure, Annette, go ahead.
Just one quickie. I know that you're not able to endorse any product or any, self-soothing ointments or oils or anything else. But is there anything you can recommend,
Well,
even though you can't?
I'm always going to say talk to your doctor about anything medication wise. If you're talking about something for pain specifically, arnica is one that I use myself. Magnesium is also a supplement that can be really, really helpful for managing stress in your body. It's tied to sleep. It's tied to tight muscles, that sort of thing. So magnesium is one that you should, but you should definitely ask your doctor about any of these. I know it can be sort of controversial, but CBD is another product that is becoming more widespread in its use. It's available over the counter. I've used it myself, and I'm a healthcare professional. I think that CBD can be really, really helpful, especially in topical application. And I say that as somebody that has my own share of pain. I have issues with my back. I actually have arthritis already from years of dancing. And CBD cream, there's one that I really like that it also has menthol in it, so it has like a cooling sensation. And that one I got from Whole Foods. So I think that CBD is absolutely worth using. Just double check with your doctor. And that's in a topical form. Certainly before you ingest anything like that, speak to your doctor.
One more piece.
Absolutely.
DMSO. Have you heard of it? It's a cream, a gel, a cream that
I don't think I have.
Okay. Well, she uses it. It's got to be the pure kind, but she uses it. She does a lot of holistic healing in New Jersey, so she's not big competition for Chicago. But anyway, she uses it on everything.
Okay.
If she had a tooth that was giving a problem, she would rub it on her cheek.
Okay.
So just DMSO out there.
All right, I'll have to look it up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Does anybody else have any questions? You can put it in the chat. I can't see all the screens at once because EJ's still.
Well, here, I'll stop screen sharing. And then if anybody wants my contact info, you can get it from my mom, or she'll make sure to post the slides.
Both of those. Hi, Hugh.
Hi, Sandy.
Joining us just at the end as we're doing question and answer.
Okay, I had a stress test this morning, so I couldn't be on you sooner.
Well, that's important.
It is.
So the recording will be available afterwards, and you can get my info if you have any questions about falls. Okay?
Fall, September,
Yep,
October.
I talked about.
September, October, and November.
Yes, those are the ones. So I will say, actually, so International Fall Prevention Day is September 22nd, I believe. So maybe next year we'll plan and do fall prevention talk in the fall.
Okay.
But fall prevention is important year round, even if it's not the fall.
So what's going on? What's going on right now? I couldn't join before this.
So Elizabeth, I have a question for you. What should you do when you realize, that you have that moment where everything goes in slow motion when you first realize you're about to fall? Do you have any recommendations for what you should do in that moment?
So actually, yes. One thing we didn't really talk about was how to fall. There are ways to do it so that you can avoid injury. Our instinct when we're falling is to protect ourselves by putting our hands out. So that can cause a wrist fracture or a hand fracture, arm fracture. But we usually say better to break your wrist than to break your head. So as much as possible, you want to sort of brace yourself and aim to fall on softer spots of your body rather than bony spots. So, and of course, I can't really demonstrate it right now. I'll have to see if I can find a good video on how to fall. But see, the best thing you can do is see if you can aim. So aim so that you're not going to hit a counter with your head or anything like that. Rather than putting your hands straight out, see if you can go here on this part of your arm.
And not
Your elbow, but on the flat part of your forearm. So like if you can kind of hold your arm out, like imagine you're blocking a punch or something like that. All right. So you can fall there. Or if you're going to fall on your leg, you want to kind of see if you can not land on your knee or your hip, but kind of, again, that same principle with like the side of your thigh. Your butt's a tough one because you don't want to have a broken or a bruised tailbone either, but your butt has a lot of fatty tissue and muscle tissue, which can kind of cushion you. So I'll have to see if I can find a good video and then I can share that with my mom to share with everybody else. But, you know, ideally we'll prevent any falls, but I know they still happen sometimes. So.
Nobody asked, but I did survive the stress test. I'm still.
Oh, well, you're still here, so that's good.
And still.
And that's an important point. You got to take care of your heart too. I didn't really mention a whole lot of cardiac things, but your heart is really important in being able to do exercise on a daily basis and keep your body going. So that's a good thing to do.
I assume you're Sandy's daughter?
Yes, I am.
You're lucky.
Yes, I know. I am very lucky. I have the best parents.
And I think she's lucky too.
I am.
But she probably has something to do about you being.
Yes.
Okay. And you have a nice father too.
I do.
Yeah.
I was really blessed with a wonderful family. Could not have asked for better. So, and I think I got some skills from both of them. You know, I'm an OT, so I'm sort of in between being a psychologist and an engineer. I say that with my patients. Pretty cool.
Thanks you.
Yes, thank you.
For an engineer, you could take the train to Chicago.
I have. Lori, do you have another question?
I was just going to say thank you so much. I was just telling Nate, Nate, my husband, I have probably fallen in my life as many times as the Boy Scout, has been camping. And okay. I'm like thanking whoever is watching me that I haven't broken more stuff or whatever. And as you're talking about how you should fall and you should do it like this,
yeah,
it's how I do fall. That's why I haven't broken more things.
Well,
so
there you go.
I'm a spokesperson for Elizabeth's Methodist. They're very good.
Good.
Before I knew some of them, my MS has caused my balance to be not so great sometimes, and I've had to kind of adapt a little bit. But yeah. When I do fall, I just kind of jump back up and I don't take care of myself. So that's why I'm happy to hear that I maybe should just slow down a little bit sometimes.
Yep, it's okay to take your time, take a couple of breaths.
Yeah.
Well, I have two reasons not to fall. One is the obvious, I can hurt myself. The second one is, if there's nothing around, I can't get up. If I fall down on the floor, or if I fall down in the backyard, I have to have something to brace myself. I have to crawl someplace until there's a table or a chair or something I can boost myself up.
There you go. That's true.
Elizabeth, it's Annette Prager one more time.
Sure.
You were mentioning home safety devices or things to use to make your home more safe. And one of the things I found with my husband is a very simple Amazon bought, not too expensive product. Not a hospital bed rail, but a simple bed rail that goes under the mattress and is a handle for him to hold on to help him turn in bed and get up off the bed and sit on the bed so he's not too far to the edge.
Yep, those are excellent. I recommend those to patients frequently. You know, many of our patients come in and then end up going home and they don't want to get a hospital bed or they don't need a hospital bed, but they need a little bit of something. Those are so simple. They're not really that expensive. You can get them on Amazon or medical supply stores, and they're so simple to set up. They take next to no effort, and then it's there. They're really great. And I see when I was doing home health also, I saw those frequently. So I think that's a great device to have.
I think an important thing, like I'm a person who's fallen probably too many times. And usually people, I've fallen in public, which of course strains your dignity as well as however you hurt yourself. But people always kind of rush to your aid. And I always like, okay, I just need a minute. You know, like they're trying to get me up and I haven't evaluated yet where I'm hurt or if I'm hurt, you know, and I always say like, I just need a minute because I need to kind of collect myself and know, you know, because I get a little disoriented when I fall, and especially if it's sudden and I wasn't anticipating it. I sort of have to figure out where I am and where all my body parts are. And then, okay, everything's okay. This hurts a little bit, but it's not bad enough to be broken. Okay, it's safe for me to get up, you know, and then I'll accept help. But sometimes you have to tell people to back off.
And you absolutely can and should do that. I think that it's really important to advocate for yourself, whatever you need in that moment. And if you need a minute to catch your breath and to do that self-assessment, that is totally fine. And, you know, sometimes when people see something happen that they're scared by, they want to just rush in and don't really take the time to think either. But you can definitely tell them, hey, you can also take a breath. Give me a minute here. That's a good thing, a good point.
The other thing for me, the last time I fell, I was at the farmer's market and there was a step that I didn't see. And so it was very fast. And I actually took out a couple of pickle jars with me on the way down. And then as I went to get up, somebody yelled at me, "Don't put your hand there." And there was glass all over the floor. And I was not aware that there was glass there. So,
that's why it's really important to scan your environment too. Hugh, I was going to say to you also, one thing I had mentioned, and Nancy, I'll get to you in a second.
Yeah.
I see you. But make sure you keep a cell phone on you or get a life alert so that if you do fall somewhere where you have a harder time getting yourself up, you can call for help. Good. Excellent. All right, Nancy.
So this goes along with Sandy's comment, because I too have fallen many times. To be really aware of your environment and to look before you walk and before you step. It's really not easy because you're taking a walk in the neighborhood and maybe you don't want to look at the sidewalk, but those trees poke up out of the sidewalk and there can be rocks and it can be uneven. And it's really important to watch the ground.
Absolutely.
You know, it makes all the difference in the world. So that's what I have to say. Hi, EJ.
Hi. That's a great point. And, you know, I had kind of mentioned that, but, you know, one thing that I'll say to my patients sometimes is that it's a lot like driving. When you're driving, you have to look ahead of you, behind you, to the sides, all around, all at the same time. And you really have to do that when you're walking around too, because you need to be aware of what's going on, you know, by your feet. You've got to, you know, look for people that are near you, maybe less so with the pandemic going on, but that awareness is so, so, so important.
That's another piece. Ned
EJ.
again.
Oh, yeah.
Memory issues are major in mobility and memory. I've had a husband who slipped out of bed, the same one with the bed rails. And when after what felt like an hour was probably only a few minutes, he could not remember how to get back on his knees or get both legs to function so that he could get on the chair by himself.
Yeah.
A simple call to 911, two guys come in and in 2 seconds, one on each side, he was in the bed like they were throwing leaves around.
Yeah.
And, you know, I said, I hope your night is as easy as this for everybody else, because chick chock, but you've got to, don't push is the point of that, because he couldn't do it.
Right.
Having one of these around your neck should help if you fall down. and you need
Yep.
help. If
That's
I
right,
were to
Hugh.
fall down someplace, they would know exactly where I am because of the satellite up there.
There you go.
Exactly. Very good.
Right.
Thank you.
Lovely wife had one, and when she passed away, her daughter told me I should wear it, and I just recently upgraded it.
Good for you.
I
Yeah.
haven't had to use it yet, though.
My
that's a good thing to
father had one of those, and he didn't like to. He didn't like to use it. So when he fell, he would call me, and I would tell him to push his button
Mhm.
because I wasn't with him.
Yeah.
You know, I'd be somewhere far away.
I want to go back to what Annette said, because that's a really good point. Sometimes you'll find yourself in a situation with either yourself or a loved one where they just can't get up or you can't get up, and that's okay. But the best thing to do in that place is to get help. There's nothing bad about calling for help, even if, as my mom says, you have a strained or dignity. You know, better to have your health and your body whole than to try to hurt yourself further getting up or to remain stuck on the floor.
When they came in, he actually had a pillow under his head and was lying on the floor like there was no problem at all, you know, so
There you go.
you do what you have to do.
EJ,
Yeah.
is there any possibility we could get a list of all those exercises?
Absolutely. So my mom will have the thing available, and if you'd like, I was sort of working on this before and didn't have a chance to finish it, but I can put together a little exercise sheet if anybody would be interested in that, and have
That
it
would be-
ready for maybe next week sometime.
That would be
Beautiful.
great. Mrs. Klein, Natalie wanted some too. So,
Sure.
yep, all of us who've attended, this has been wonderful. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
I just made an observation.
Okay.
I'm surrounded by lovely ladies. There are no men here whatsoever.
Well, that's not true, Hugh.
I'm a
Danny's
lucky
there,
guy,
and so,
but that's
Hugh,
over
we've
the
also-
internet, not in person.
Hugh, we've also got Danny and John.
Well,
John.
well, Danny, you're keeping it in the family. You probably told him you wouldn't give him dinner if he wasn't on.
He's the cook now because I'm working. So he's a house husband now. So dinner's on him.
Well, and Hugh, hopefully next time I'm teaching the class, we'll be able to do it in person, and then I can meet you for real.
You don't know. You're
Could
not
you
missing much, believe me.
Sorry, could you explain the wristband that you were talking about Sandy's wearing?
Oh, it's a smartwatch.
A smartwatch.
It's
Okay.
an the Apple Watch. They have different numbers. This is the Apple 6, and the 6 watch. And the reason I bought this one is that it has a fall alert on it. And if it senses that you fall, it asks you if you want it to call 911.
Okay. That's beautiful.
And the thing is that I do have a history of falling, which is, I think, why Elizabeth called me and said, "Mom, I want to do a lunch and learn for you."
You've been a part of it. So.
But that doesn't alert anybody else. That watch doesn't alert anybody else.
No, but it will alert 911.
I think you can set it though. I feel like I read an article that somebody had mentioned that they got a notification about their elderly parent that had fallen. So I think if you set it in your settings that way, it can automatically contact somebody.
Okay.
So if you use an iPhone and have other Apple products and you want one, that's a great way to do it. That may be more expensive than Life Alert, but if you want something that's useful in other ways too, why not? You know, I don't have one yet. I was just talking to my mom about that, but one day maybe I will. Sarah, Ann, do you have a question?
Well, I think that the Life Alert is only good for a certain amount of distance. Like whatever, and the iWatch is, if you buy the model that's connected to cellular service, then it's available, you know, whenever it's on your arm, wherever you are. And
sure, that's a great point. Yeah, the Life Alert is tied to your home, you know, some sort of a central location. So if you're not going out a whole lot, that's great. But, you know, most of you are still what I consider younger and still going out and about in the community. So, you know, So having something like an iWatch is a great tool.
Life Alert is
That's
also a
strategy.
monthly charge. I don't
Mhm.
know if the Life Alert is, the iWatch, the watch is a monthly charge.
There's no charge if you just use the cellular service connected to your phone. There is
Okay,
a
so,
monthly charge if it has its own phone number.
okay. But that's a big difference because Life Alert has $100 and something a month. I've looked.
Oh, that's a
Your
lot.
initial fee is not so high, but then they charge you by the month.
Yeah. There are other brands though. Life Alert is one that everybody knows of because of those ads. Help, I've fallen and I can't get up. But there are so many other options out there now. So it's worth doing a little bit of research to see what works best for you. Like I had said, there are some that will automatically notify a loved one or EMT if you fall. Some are more basic. There's tons of options out there, and cost, is certainly related to what you get, but you can get what suits your lifestyle and your pocketbook. Well, I don't know if there's any other questions, but thank you all for attending and for having a wonderful little conversation afterwards here. I am absolutely passionate about what I do, and I love helping people. And if I helped you guys today, then I did my job.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
It
much.
was a great job.
Thank you.
Program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Enjoyed it. I'm
Thank you
sorry I
all.
couldn't be
Thank
here
you.
for the whole thing.
Great.
Yes. Hugh, just let my mom know. She can make sure you have that recording, okay?
Sure.
And I can send Lori or Nate over to help you play it.
There you go.
Aviva, what time can Sarah Ann, what time can I call Aviva on the phone today?
Pardon?
What time can I call Aviva?
Aviva?
Is she home all the time or what?
Well, she works, but you can call her now, I guess. Call her,
Well,
probably
I don't
her
wanna
cell
bother
phone.
her.
Then I don't, supper time?
Okay.
I don't know.
I need to get her a Leah list.
Well, I hope I'm on your Aaliyah list. I
Pardon?
better be. Oh, she has to give it to you.
Yeah, I want it so I can, I'll need it for Saturday.
Right.
Sarah Ann's granddaughter's having a bat mitzvah Saturday.
Aw.
Oh.
Mazel tov.
Yeah,
Thank you.
that's
Thank
wonderful.
you very much.
All right.
This
Well,
was a great program, Elizabeth and Sandy and Danny.
Sarah Ann.
Thank you.
Yeah, I guess Danny gets some credit too.
Yeah, a little bit, I suppose.
The apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
Nope.
Or as Elizabeth and I like to say, the egg.
Well, she calls me a good egg, and then I say the egg doesn't fall too far from the chicken.
If it was, the egg wouldn't be cracked up when it's supposed to be.
Well, I didn't crack up too much, so I think we're okay.
You did good.
Thank you all again.
As I say
Thank
again,
you all
I'm
for
sorry
coming.
I'm late, but I made it anyways.
I'm glad you came.
I'm glad you came too.
Glad to be here. And again, hopefully next time in person.
You have a very happy face.
Well, I come by that honestly too.
I like the combination of technology and engineering, that psychology and engineering. Brilliant.
Well, it really does suit what I do and me too. I actually studied engineering for a little while, and it just wasn't really the right fit for me. And then I found OT, and a friend of mine actually pointed out to me, "Oh, you engineer people." And I really
Exactly.
do. I take a logical approach, and I do a lot of problem solving, and I help people live their lives. And if that's not
100%.
engineering, it's just a little less math.
Good job. As far as I'm concerned, who's not good in math? Good job.
Well, thank you. All right.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you for taking the time, Elizabeth, to put this together for us.
I'm glad to. And I'll have it ready to go. And I was going to say, if anybody has any critiques, Mom said she's sending out a survey, so let me know. And then I'm assuming I'll do this again in the future sometime, so I'll just fix up my presentation even more. And I will work on getting an exercise list put together, and we'll be able to send that out maybe next week.
That would be good too.
All right,
Excellent.
I'm going to draw us to a close. And again, thank you, Elizabeth, for taking the time to put this together for us and taking the time off of work today. And we'll look forward to seeing everybody at future Federation events. And Elizabeth, I hope that health-wise, you'll be able to get away from the COVID patients, so that we'll be able to see you in person.
Hopefully, fingers crossed.
Yeah.
And thank you, Sandy, for the pizza lunch. Delicious.
Oh, good, good. I'm glad it was good. It was I had a last minute panic attack because of Shavuos. I couldn't ask the kosher caterer to prepare a meal because they do it the day before. And so I had a panic attack until I figured out we could do frozen pizza, which I could distribute ahead of time.
Beautiful.
Well,
Yummy delish. Thank you.
Good. All right. Thank you, everybody. Bye.
welcome.
you.
Thank you all. Bye. Good to see everybody.